Hey everybody, it's Daniel here with MobileSyrup.com, and today we are looking at the brand new LG G3. Now, as you can see here, this looks very similar to last year's model, and that's because this is a direct evolution of the LG G2, and I'll show you that in just a second. So you see here, these two devices, they look very similar. But obviously the G3, it's a little bit bigger, and it's got some refinements that really err on the side of simplicity. So what we see here is the first Quad HD device that's going to be available on the Canadian market, and that means that this has a 2560 by 1440 resolution. That's 4 times HD, or 4 times 720p. And while you can't really tell on this video, obviously, because it's 1080p itself, the screen is extremely sharp. This is a gorgeous display. Obviously, this uses IPS technology. We're actually outdoors right now, and usually screens like this would be washed out, but even amongst this New York City smog, you can see this very beautifully. This has a 5.5-inch display, making it one of the largest on the market, but also it's extremely usable in one hand. You can see that 76% of the screen is, 76% of the front rather, is comprised of the screen itself, and that makes for a very usable display in one hand. You can see with the new flatter UI that LG has really pushed some of these more mature themes that they emphasize in the introduction. You can see the icons themselves are much flatter, they're a little bit simpler. You're going to see a lot of those kinds of refinements. You can see also the top of the front of the display is different color than the bottom, and that's because the bottom is actually going to adapt in color to various apps. So like the notification shade, which you can see here is the same color as the Memo app itself, that's due to improvements to Android 4.4 KitKat. The bottom will also adapt as well, and that's something that we'll show you in future videos. The overall UI is extremely smooth, and the notification shade as well is much simpler. You will notice that QMemo and a bunch of those Q apps are still there. LG's not really emphasizing them the same way they did on the G2, but you can see here in the settings, many of the features from last year's model are still here. In terms of one-handed operation, LG has made this extremely easy to use with one hand, and that's again not only due to the usability of the 5.5-inch display. You can see that I can actually grab the notification shade with one hand without really readjusting my thumb. That's something that you typically can't do on a device this size from other manufacturers. But the keyboard, the keypad, and the lock screen can also be adjusted to be used with one hand. LG's UI improvements extend far beyond just the flattening and simplifying of the icons. You can see here that LG now has adopted Google's virtual button design. So instead of a virtual menu button, there is now a virtual multitasking button. The multitasking view has been upgraded as well, so you can see here you get these little previews, and you can just swipe them away, and you also get quick access to many of the Q Memo and Q Slide type apps that you normally find in the notification shade. You can see here that the notification shade itself has been simplified. It's much flatter, there's high contrast, and the overall UI seems much easier to use. In terms of performance, this runs a 2.5 gigahertz Snapdragon 801 processor. There are going to be 2 variants on the market, but Canada will likely see the more powerful of the two, with 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. There's also a 3000 milliamp hour removable battery, and we'll show you that in just a second. On the back of the device, you can see that LG hasn't messed with a good thing. The volume buttons and power button are still on the back, that makes for a very thin and slick device. This is 9.1 millimeters thick, only slightly thicker than the G2, but it is very, very comparable in size due to the increased screen space. As LG said in its introduction, the display makes up 76% of the front of the device, which is astonishing if you think about it compared to other devices on the market. Going back to the back of the device, you see here there is a dual tone flash, a 13 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization, and there is a laser for improved autofocus. The back buttons themselves have been slightly rejigged. You'll see that they're much easier to tap now. The power button in particular feels a lot more sturdy, and it actually feels metallic. There's a subtle texture to it that you can easily distinguish between it and the volume buttons, which are a little bit more recessed. So LG's taken some care to ensure that you press the right buttons at the right time depending on your intention. Obviously those shortcuts to get to the camera and to Q memo, those are still going to be there when the screen is off, and we'll demo that at a later date. Clearly, the camera is an aspect of the device that LG has really emphasized in improving. It's the same 13 megapixel resolution, but the f-stop, the aperture, is now f2.0, so it's a much sharper, faster lens, and it will also allow for faster shooting. You can see here the UI has been significantly enhanced. One-tap shooting as well has been added to the UI, so you can just tap to shoot, or if you want you can use the traditional virtual shutter button. Lots of features have been added here, but simplicity has been emphasized over all else, so you will find that merely going into the UI, it's easy to just tap on the screen anywhere to autofocus and take that photo. The device does support 4K video as well as high-resolution audio capture, so that's going to come in handy when you are using this in loud places. Apps like the gallery have been significantly overhauled. LG finally has taken its UI design as seriously as its hardware design, and you can tell it just in places like the Dialer app, places like the Gallery app, the Memo app. This is a much easier UI to figure out. You're not going to be digging into menus. You're not going to be pressing menus at all. In fact, everything is now on screen. So finally, we're just going to tear this back off to show you the inside, because LG has opted for a removable battery. This is a 3000 milliamp hour battery. There's also an SD slot here for expandable storage, and the backing, obviously, while not metal, has a metallic finish. You can see the NFC antenna over there, and it is significantly sturdier than some of the competitor devices as well. So this feels really nice in the hand, and it's not quite as slippery as the G2. You can see there, that will be very, very appreciated to a lot of LG's fans. We're looking at other subtle improvements. For example, in addition to the removable battery and micro SD slot, the G3 comes with built-in wireless charging. There are also some significant improvements to the keyboard. Now, this is probably, and this speaks to the typing addict in me, one of the most exciting announcements. The keyboard on the G3 not only takes cues from some of the better virtual keyboards out there, but it looks significantly better. For example, when you're typing something on the screen, you'll be able to quickly edit and quickly select words just by swiping up. So that's a big improvement, and something that I look forward to trying. Something called Smart Notif. For example, when you get a call from somebody that you don't have in your contact list, it'll prompt you to add it. Things like that, working side by side with services like Google Now, will help the G3 subtly but as the company likes to say, simply improve your life. Hopefully the two don't go head to head and we don't see SmartNotice kind of overpowering Google Now. But as you can see here, Google Now is still very much integrated into the device experience. You can also see here the speaker has been enlarged, and there is a 1 watt amplifier inside the device for better audio output. So overall, even though this is a very similar looking device, the improvements are significant, and we can't wait to try this when it comes to Canada later in the year. Thanks so much for watching. This is Daniel with Mobile Syrup.